Alright, you guys, so today we're going to do raw packed chicken. We're going to can it up. So I have about 20 pounds of chicken thighs in here that I have thawed, and while I'm working I'm just keeping some ice in there. I'm cutting them up into kind of big chunks that we'll put into the jars and pressure can them. So in here I also have ice. I need to get some more to put on top. So because this is pressure canned and it's a cold product that will be pressure canned in a hot pressure canner, we're going to need to warm up the contents of the jars slowly. So that'll be a different way of canning than you've seen in the past. And we'll get to that in a few minutes, but now I gotta finish chopping up all this chicken. So I have the chicken all cut up, and I am going to put stock into the jars when I'm canning it. So instead of opening up stock that I already have jarred up, I just decided it's going to be just as easy to make some from scratch. So I pulled carrots, celery out of the freezer. I had some chicken carcass in the freezer. I still have garlic from my yard last year, and I've got these small onions that I'm going to go ahead and cut up and toss in there, and I'm going to make the stock that I will use in the jars with the raw chicken. Hi you guys. Hey, meet Allie. Allie the Magnificent. We're dog sitting. She's a very good friend. Sarah's having a little nap because they've been playing nonstop. Alright, so we're going to can up chicken today. I've got my supplies out, so I've got my 2-ball canning books, chicken. The way we're doing this is the same way you would do lamb, beef, pork, just about any meat that you would cut into chunks. So we've got the All-American canner and the 941 up. Got some water in the bottom. With one of the racks, we'll have to do a double stacker there. I made chicken stock, so I've got that simmering. Well, bringing it up to a simmer back there so we can use that in the jars. Got my lids and rings and some hot water. Just have my various pieces of equipment, my bubbler, magnet, jar holder, funnel, extras of everything. I have my chicken out because I'm warming it back up to room temperature. I actually did all the cutting and all the prep for this last night. So everything went into the refrigerator last night. So what I'm doing now is bringing it up to room temperature. Remember, usually when you can, you put things into a jar hot, and then you put them into a hot canner. In this case, because it's a pressure canner, we put the lid on it. The hot water would be hot, almost boiling, and then we would bring it up to pressure quick. But since all of this stuff is cold, this is cold, I'm bringing the stock up, and I'm going to just take it to a boil again because I made it yesterday and I let all the bones and stuff sit in it. I'm going to boil it just to make sure there's no bacteria or anything in it. Then I'm going to let it cool down. Then we're going to put, the jars are in the dishwasher, but we're going to let them cool too. So room temperature everything, including the water in the canner. Room temperature, put it in the canner, then we'll bring the canner up to temperature, the water inside and everything all at the same time, and that's how you can can things from cold. You just slowly bring them up to room temperature. So anyway, when we get ready to rock and roll, I'll come back and show you where we are, but this is pretty much all you need to can. So since we were talking about various meats to can this way, so chopped meat, pork sausage, pork tenderloin, roast, spare ribs, steaks and chops, stew meat, rabbit and squirrel, fowl, game birds, seafood, clams, crab meat, fish. I can tuna fish this way, or tuna, and make it into tuna fish. So we're in the Small Ball Blue Book Guide to Preservation, page 61, where you're going to get all this good information. So we're going to do the raw pack method and bone out, and we're going to put it into pints. So we're going to go an hour 15, so 75 minutes at 10 pounds pressure. All right, so let's get started. Okay, so meat is really easy to can. but it has to be pressure canned. I know a lot of people these days, I guess for a long time, are saying people have water bath canned meat for years and they didn't die of botulism, and they still do it in Europe and they don't die of botulism, but the truth of the matter is they do die of botulism. I'm going to link some articles below on some more recent cases of people dying from botulism by not properly canning. For some reason it tends to mostly be like beans and peas and stuff, but I think that's probably because those are sometimes eaten cold in salads, but like meat you almost always heat up before you put it in a stew or something, and botulism pores can be killed if they're heated up. It's a little too much. So this is how easy meat is. Get it in the jars. So remember, room temperature jars. The meat is still pretty cool, but I'm going to move forward with it. You can see there's some air pockets and such in there. So we're just going to squish it down. You could use your debubbler. Try to squish some meat down in there. I always keep it in some kind of container like this because I'm going to put broth in here. You could use water, but I decided just to go ahead and make some broth because I had the means to do that and extra equipment. So I've got that over here. Take a little, and we're going to go for 1 inch headspace on these, a generous 1 inch headspace. I'm going to pour that in there, and then you can see a little steam from the warmer broth hitting the meat, but that's okay. So I'm going to just debubble again so I get all this down a little bit, right? Get some of the fluid down into the air pockets and such. And that looks good. This meat is going to give off a broth of its own. So that was just a few teaspoons of fluid I put in there. So now let's wipe the top and put the rings and lids on. So what I have here is plain white vinegar. You want the lids to be, or the glass up here to be super clean so you get a good seal. Do that. Okay, I've got my lids that have come out of some warm water. We used to have to boil these. We don't have to do that anymore as long as you're water bathing or pressure canning for 10 minutes or longer. All right, so finger tight, lids on, rings clean, ta-da-da. And now we'll put it into the pressure canner, but again, because there's cold contents in this jar, this whole thing is cold, this water, or cool, room temperature. Usually I would have this steaming and boiling and have to use my jar tongs to put jars in there. So I've got about 20 pounds of meat, which means I'm going to have about 20 pint jars, about a pound a jar. So when I come back, we'll be full and ready to rock and roll. So I just wanted to walk you through a couple of them. Now you probably know what you're doing. So yeah, we'll come back in a little bit and I will continue working. All right, guys, so now we've got this loaded up with chicken. I've got the rack in here, so I've got a second layer, but I still have all this room here where I could put something else into can. And I have a whole bunch of the stock left. So what I'm going to do now is take the rest of the jars that I have from the dishwasher that will fit into the canner, and I'm just going to can up some stock at the same time. This process is around the right amount of time. It's actually a little long for stock, but I don't care, right? Why not use the space? I'm using the energy anyway. And so we'll go ahead and load her up. Alrighty, got our jars all in, got some stock, plain stock, got my chicken, 2 layers. So remember, well, everything is probably room temperature in here now, as is the water. So now we're going to go ahead and light it up. If I could get that to light, that'd be awesome. There you go. and I'll put the lid on and we'll watch for the steam and do all that. But I think you guys know how to do that. You should know how to do that by now. So if you've watched some of my videos, I mean, yeah, so we'll come back when we have a finished product for you.